Mountain View, California. A town where safety-conscious families ride bikes down quaint shop-lined boulevards, free from harassment by hooligans. A town where locals visit the ATM machines without thought of looking over their shoulders. A town where people walk dogs down leafy side streets to the gleeful cries of children who play unmolested in well-groomed parks. But what the good people of Mountain View don't know is that the only thing that keeps their perfect little lives from suddenly being overrun by the dark forces of crime and mayhem is one man. A man who watches over them. A man whose never-ending vigil keeps the forces of evil at bay. A man who is known only as the Eye.
So who is the Eye?
Well, I suppose you could say it's the side of me that wants to help others. I do it in the style that I do, inspired by things from my youth, such as the Green Hornet from the 1960 television show. Growing up watching that, I had a real impression with that one. I really liked the style in which the Green Hornet would gather information, pass that on to the police, and they would take next action. So that's basically the template for what created me as the Eye.
So do you ever feel as though you want to get in there and take the action instead of the police? You just want to go kick some ass yourself?
Well, I look at it this way. You should only get into those situations if you have no other choice. Defense only. That is the job of the police, to do that sort of thing.
But you are perfectly capable of doing
Indeed,
it if
so.
need be.
Yes, I am martially trained. I was trained in Northern Shaolin praying mantis Kung Fu since the 1970s, and put that into practice, developing a couple styles of my own. One called Jade Mantis, and another simpler style called Leaf Hand. And yes, I do have that capability, but again, it should always be a last resort. I got to a certain point in my training at the YMCA where one of the assistant instructors eventually pulled me aside and said, you know, you've done this over and over again. It's time for you to go to the school. What? Okay, where is that?
Do you know of any other superheroes who got their training at a YMCA?
No.
So this martial arts that you study, if I were, let's say my cameraman Steven over there, he's Asian, and though he's horribly out of shape, do you think that you could take him? If he came at you with ferocity right now, what would you do?
Well, after, say, tripping on all the wires.
Let me just point this out also. He had 3 McGriddles and a Mountain Dew on the way here, so he's very powered up.
Okay, yeah, that could be a little difficult. Well, I guess I'd have to put my leaf hand skills and Jade Mantis into practice.
I think you can take a leaf bag. I don't think you need a leaf hand. Are there a lot of crimes on the mean streets of Mountain View?
Well, again, you have to know what to look for. And so what you may think maybe nothing could be something if you have a trained eye and know what to look for. So I just try to do that all the time and be observant, look for things that seems a little suspicious and so forth, and just try to be like any good citizen and just try to keep an extra eye out.
I would think that in Mountain View, the major crimes would be like, people stealing lunch from the Tupperware out of the company refrigerator, people taking printer paper and pens
home, and other office supplies.
It's important for everybody to be watchful. Watch towards the eye, because I can't be everywhere.
So every superhero seems to have a story of how they came to be. Peter Parker was bitten by the radioactive spider, became Spider-Man. Superman came from a different planet. What is the genesis of the Eye? How did the Eye come to be?
Well, I guess I'd have to say that being the kind of individual that from a very young age, I had a father, still do, who used to help me back from an early age in the garage, building whatever weird gadget I wanted to make. So along the line of doing this, I also kind of developed a theme of visuality, I guess you could say. The idea of the eye is the idea of being observant, looking for what other people don't see. And so a visual aspect developed and kind of a theme sort of started to, you started to see your origin come to gel, if you will. And so I decided to go ahead and just make that the theme. And the devices I use tend to use light as a deterrent self-defense device, also for simple illumination. But the deterrent faction, I guess, is it's mostly based on the Japanese concept of what's called Mitsubishi.
I used to drive one of those.
Almost the same. It's almost pronounced the same way. Mitsubishi is apparently a Japanese concept of, I guess, clouding, I guess you could call it. When you see, like, say, some ninja putting out a cloud of powder to sort of haze the individual to make it possible for them to either escape or attack, I decided to say, what can I do with light to do the same sort of thing? And use that as a possible tool.
Are there a lot of ninjas here in Mountain View?
Not that I'm aware of.
So there is a Justice Society of Justice, which is a conglomeration of other real-life superheroes.
Correct.
Where does this meet? Like Shakey's Pizza or Chuck E. Cheese or something?
Pretty much nowhere right now, because we're so far flung. It's more of an idea at this point that we would wish we could have in more of a reality, because we're from the four corners of the United States mostly, and some of us even in Italy. There's a gentleman named Intimo who's over there who... Love to meet him. He's a great guy.
There's another one called Pope. He wears these crazy capes and robes.
So we're just so far flung. It's more of an idea that we would like to have this metaphoric Justice League watchtower.
Yeah, like a Hall of Justice.
Exactly, but it's kind of hard because we're so from all far over.
Do you have a super nemesis? Is there a super villain that you guys are just at odds and worlds?
None that I'm aware of.
Looking around here, I would suggest maybe it's Mr. Clean. Okay, so you said that one of your main superpowers is being able to develop gadgets.
Indeed.
So let's now move over to the gadget table so you can show me some of the amazing stuff that you've made.
Let's do it.
All right, the table is set with geeky, nerdy devices.
Indeed so.
Let's see what we got in fighting crime.
All right. Pretty much my trademark item is the Dragon's Eye, which is this ring here. It has a white LED flashlight in it.
Now this is come in handy if like you're in your car and you're trying to find like some snacks under the driver's side.
Just to find the keyhole.
Yeah.
Seriously.
How about this here? This is a pipe bomb, I believe.
Oh, this is the Sonic Screamer tube, which is uses another one of the personal sonic alarms, which I re-engineered by putting inside a tube to concentrate it. Same principle as a shotgun mic, only to send sound out, not to receive it. Yeah?
Yes.
This one here is a little interesting device, another ring device that incorporates elements of what a magician would use to make a flash of flame. Ready?
Wow, that's great. You just burned this criminal's eyebrows off. Thank you very much. I've only committed some petty drug crimes too.
And this one is basically just a variation on the strobe flash unit that I have here, in that it's what I might call the strobe flash shield. It would go on the outside of the arm like this.
So this is just from a camera, right?
Yeah, it's just a simple camera strobe. And again, it has the spidey actuation with one hand by simply pulling the wrist back like that.
Can we make this one engage?
Sure. Let me turn him on as well. And would you like to try that one on?
Yes, yeah? You kidding me?
Okay. Put it on like this and then snap those on there for yourself. And just, all you need to do is make sure that's up close to your wrist. And hold this basically out of the
I'm a superhero. Watch this.
Hold it like that. There you go.
Yeah! Take that, criminals.
Let's go out and fight some crime.
Yeah, exactly. Especially if the criminals happen to be like at a birthday party or something and need some photographs taken.
There you go.
I'm at them.
Here is another little device I have, built around a plastic Harry Potter wand. I have a laser module in there. It uses a green laser, which is quite nicely coherent, and I can also use that for actuating devices similar to that as well.
Wow. So do you make a lot of your crime-fighting devices out of toys?
They do seem to lend themselves to being taken apart and re-engineered very easily.
So James Bond had Q. You have the Chinese who sell their products at Toys R Us.
Exactly.
Let's try that on cameraman Steven. How's that? Put your eye in the lens there, Steven.
Another wrist gadget, which incorporates a nice little flashlight. Also is a personal alarm with the lanyard that you pull out. The wonderful thing about lanyard alarms for personal safety is you don't have to worry about fumbling for a button if you're in danger, basically. You just can pull it out and it will do the screaming for you.
So if we were to pull this out right now, would it make a loud noise?
And just pull out the top right there.
Wow. Yeah, if you really want to annoy a criminal, that's the device you want to have on your wrist.
The Annoyatron, yes, exactly.
You know what gadget you should develop? You should like overclock like a dustbuster, a vacuum cleaner, and just go to town on this apartment here.
Yes, I do have a lot of mummy dust. This one is not one that I created, but it's something I've repurposed for my own purposes. It's a Trek 6000 dive or cave light, if you will. It has a seal around the lighting assembly here such that it will be impervious. You can basically drop it in water, nothing's going to happen to it. But I like to affectionately call this one the Eye of Ra, and I think that'll become pretty obvious, if I may.
Yes.
It is quite bright, 60 white LEDs.
I'm going to affectionately call that one the flashlight.
So any advice that you have for people who might want to become superheroes?
Well, I guess I would have to say follow your bliss. Remember, we may not have the power of flight as a superpower, if you will, super strength, etc., but you do have your own talents. Look to those, develop them, and use them to help people whenever you can.
And you know what I'd like to say to you?
What's that, sir?
F you. I'm committing a whole bunch of crimes on a daily basis, and the cops are already enough. I got to worry about them, and I got guys like you trying to fight crime as well, and you're teaching all these people out there.
That's right.
You're making my life real hard here,
Sorry, buddy.
Well, we really appreciate you being on the show and
Thanks
you
for having
going
me.
out there and fighting crime and making the world a safer place.
Thank you, Martin.
Thank you.
I only need one eye to keep an eye on you.
Come on! You bastard! There's never been a better time for you to embark on your own web drifting adventures thanks to Virgin America's huge 4-day sale. From January 8th through the 11th, go to virginamerica.com to book flights to San Francisco, New York's JFK, Los Angeles, Las Vegas, and Washington, D.C. at rates so low, they couldn't even reveal the details to us at the time of taping. So come on, you've got just 4 days until January 11th to head to virginamerica.com and book your flight. Black Wolf Dragon Master, New York City's unofficial wizard, awaits your arrival. Huzzah, web drifters!